but in a legal setting, and for him to have the consequences of his words finally hit him after how many times those parents got harassed, how many times those poor people were harassed at their fucking workplace. Dude, like imagine having to bury your kid before Christmas and years later you're still having to have to deal with people coming up to your workplace and bullying you about how you're a crisis actor and this never really happened. It's just it really was a thing that made me feel ashamed to be American. The fact that this shit was tolerated and people are shrugging their shoulders going, oh, well, that's just freedom of speech. It's like, no, that's not freedom of speech. That's abusing the First Amendment.
Well, that's harassment.
It's not just harassment.
Yeah, but it's harassment for sure.
It's not just harassment. I agree, it's harassment, but it's not just harassment. It goes far beyond that. It's blatant fucking cruelty, and it's cruelty that's being used by it's using the First Amendment to disguise it as free speech when really it's not freedom of speech. Freedom of speech doesn't mean you can say whatever the fuck you want and face no consequences. Freedom of speech means you have the right to criticize the government without being thrown in jail. You have the right to disagree with people. You have the right to what else? You have the right to voice your opinion, well, without getting shot. I mean, look what happened to Charlie Kirk, but Charlie Kirk was a hateful fucking person, man. He hated trans people, and he would prefer if they all went back in the closet.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I do not think that there's not been but one trans person I've met in my entire time. I've met about 30 of them, I think. I've met around 30 trans people in my life. I've met one, just one, that was stable as a human being and was participating in society as a working individual. And she is in the military right now, and she is a great NCO. But that individual has a lot of military bearing, has gone through a lot of work to become a reasonable person in society, and they just started their transition. So I actually haven't communicated with them too much while this person is participating as a female now, right? But in my experience, most of the other transes I've met through my ex-wife did not have stable mentalities. They were either drug addicts, they were victims of assault, and they were super open about being victims of assault too. They didn't have jobs. I think I met 2 of them that had jobs out of like the 30 people I met. And the reason they didn't have jobs, their reason is their significant other would take care of them now that they're a female. It was primarily male to female is what I primarily saw. I've only ever seen 2 female to male ever. Out of everybody else has been male to female. And the other reason that I've seen them not participate in work is because they are going through the transition, which, whatever. I get that. If you just had a surgery, massive surgery, you're probably going to prepare for that. So at least they prepared for it. But for the most part, a lot of them don't work, and they don't really care to work. And I've just noticed that they don't really have a good place to fit in any level of society, really. And you can say, well, they're not accepted. Cool. Honestly, neither are the Muslims. They're not accepted, but they do great here. So are the Indians.
No, dude, no, hold on, man. I'm sorry. That's a false equivalency. Muslims are more accepted in society than trans people are. Trans people have, by statistics, half of them do end up attempting or committing suicide, and that's the ones that we know about. Trans people, a lot of them really are unstable.
Does that sound like a healthy person, though?
Because when you have to live every day knowing that you were born in the wrong body, it fucks with you.
Well, knowing's a crazy statement, to my opinion. It's a thought. It's a thought. I wouldn't say it's knowing. You don't just get to know something about yourself. You think something about yourself.
Yeah,
you don't get to.
I'm sorry.
The only thing that you get to know is your interest in what you think, right? You get to know what you think, but you don't know anything.
You get to know what you want too. Some people do I'm sorry, dude.
You know what you want. That's a thought. That's a thought.
No, hold on. No, you know what you want and you know what you think.
I know that I think that I'm straight and I think that I'm a man. That's what I know. I know that I think something.
Some people wake up one day and realize, damn, I am queer, or I am this, or I am that. Some people do wake up and realize one day. And some people realize in the middle of the day. It happens.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
know what you are.
Well, I know what I think I am. I know what I think I am.
Well, yeah, either way, dude, let's not split hairs here. People know what they are at the end of the day, and people will come to realize what they are, but a lot of people end up having to force themselves down for one reason or another until they end up realizing, yeah, you know what, this is what I am and this is what I want to be. And the reason why a lot of trans people have such a hard time with their own personal lives is because a lot of them struggle with an idea that for many of them they feel they can never achieve, so they simply have to live with what they can do. Because
well, it's expensive.
If there's nothing you can, well, yeah, it's not only expensive. If there's nothing you can do and you can do nothing, you do what you can. Like Granddad said to Huey in the Boondocks, which was honestly some of the best advice I've ever heard in a cartoon. If there's nothing you can do and you can do nothing, you do what you can.
Okay.
And if you've already got an entire fucking political aisle of people that actively go out of their way to call you one thing that you don't want to identify as anymore, and they say, no, fuck you. I don't have to call you this. You can't force me to call you this. It's my freedom of speech to not call you this. And if you tell me I have to call you this, well, you're censoring my freedom of speech, which is it's exactly the school of thought that Charlie Kirk perpetuated. And, he was very transphobic and hateful of trans people. And dude, it really doesn't matter if you have a penis or a vagina. If you look like a woman, then if you sound like a girl and you look like a girl, congratulations, you're a girl. Like, your fucking reproductive status doesn't define you at the end of the day, because there's a lot of dudes out there that can get their dick blown off in war. They're still a man. They can end up living as a woman, but they can still be a man because they look like a man. They walk like a man. They talk like a man. But
in my experience,
conservatives that are all.
I agree with you. In my experience, I agree with you. Just to be clear. In my experience, though,
Right.
The men that want to look like women never look like women.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. There really are some trans girls that really, brother, like they really
it's a much higher amount, though. I think the amount of trans dudes that look feminine are maybe possibly the smallest percentage of humans in existence, aside from that. They might be, but they're probably the smallest next to that little village that is an island that we're not allowed to go to in any country. Like, no country's allowed to visit them. You know what I'm talking about, right? The little tiny island village. They're like super violent to people who come there. They're like kind of cannibalistic. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you mean? Oh, no.
Yes.
No, wait, hold on. You mean North Sentinel Island?
I think so. It's like one little island.
Actually,
nobody can go there.
I just want to say, I know what you're talking about, but I just want to also preface, there is no evidence the North Sentinelese are cannibalistic. They haven't been able to find any evidence. Not saying that,
Okay, I mean, regardless, I'll take that. Right. I'll take that for now.
I just had to say that.
That's
I also
fine.
do want to say, yeah, there's a lot of trans women out there that do look like more like the dudes that they once were. But, surgeries can fix that, and they can end up looking a lot more feminine than they did before.
Yeah, but they're not getting them.
Well,
that shouldn't be their problem.
Expensive,
right? That doesn't even really matter. I just want to put that out there, that definitely changes the outside perspective, because here's something that I've learned from the Army is perception is everything. And if I perceive you as a nutcase when you approach me, or I perceive you as somebody who does not look like they're going to be mentally stable when speaking to me, then my perspective is going to change how I'm going to treat you, unfortunately. And that's how it's always going to be, because perception is everything. And my perception is, when I primarily walk up to trans people... Go ahead.
Regardless of your feelings and or genitalia, in fucking 200 years from now, when they find your skeleton, they will be able to determine whether the pelvis belonged to a biological male or a biological female, regardless of how you feel inside or what you do to change your outward appearance, unless you have pelvic surgery, which I don't know if it's possible. Maybe.
Well, then they might still identify it.
There is pelvic surgery. There is surgeries that, dude, Jacob, come on, man. They're going to be able to tell that you were trans. They dug up an Egyptian mummy that biologically they determined it was a man, but it was buried as a woman. And the hips were padded with cloth, and they added breasts to the mummy because, they're Like, dude, there was even they literally
there was transgender mummies. You know?
Yeah, they had transgender mummies.
Transgenderism's been around as long as Judaism has. Judaism is what pushes transgender ideology.
I don't know if that's entirely accurate.
There's actually another religion too. There's a religion in the Papil tribe, my culture, my historical culture from my people, from El Salvador. They also push it, but they push they, them, and they push multiple spirits or multiple personalities inside of one person. So I know of two cultures that primarily push transgender ideology. My culture is extremely tiny though, and is almost extinct. So to be clear, I don't think that's what's pushing it in the United States. But I think that for the most part, the places that have primarily participated inside of transgenderism has had some form of Abrahamic religion participating in it.
I would say that it's more of the fact that the United States is a free society and do what you will, do as you feel has been a mantra for the United States for many years. And there's a lot of people that just don't want to respect that, but they want to be respected as, well, I'm this and you need to respect me. Well, okay, dude, you can be the most devout Christian on earth, but Jesus preached that love thy neighbor, and love at the end of the day is respect. So if you want people to respect you, you're going to have to respect others. And I'm not saying that a dude can just wear a wig that looks like you or me, Eric, that can walk into the bathroom and say, "Sinley, I'm a woman." They have to put more work into it if they really want to be perceived as a woman. You know, there's more to it, and there's a lot of people that say, "Well, suddenly we're gonna have dudes wearing wigs who are gonna go in the bathroom."
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
You've probably heard this argument before, and I'd like to hear your argument against it.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna identify as black now.
Oh, man, I don't even like Rachel Dolezal. I'll be honest with you. I thought that whole thing was ridiculous.
Why do you think that's ridiculous, but being trans isn't?
Because a man can look like a woman with enough time and gender replacement.
Yeah, but looks don't matter according to most trans. That's not the important part. It's about how you feel inside. If I truly believe that I am an African American deep down inside to my fucking core, and tomorrow I wake up and I believe that, you're saying that is less valid than somebody really truly believing they're a female when they're a male, or a male when they're a female. Also,
go ahead. Precedent for that. I have a perfect historical precedent for that. There were Polish soldiers who were sent by Napoleon in Haiti to help resist against to help put down the slave revolt. But the Poles realized that, wait a minute, these guys are slaves. They're fighting for their freedom. We can't fight against these guys. And they changed sides, and they helped the slaves win the rebellion against the French, and they helped Haiti become free. And then the Haitians, in gratitude, now honorary made them black. So you can identify as black, but are other people going to identify you as black? That's the key part. The Poles in Haiti, when they helped the black people win their liberation, these guys were, honorary black people.
I love your argument so much because I'm going to use it against you right now. Just because you believe,
honorary black person.
Just because you believe that you're white, just because you believe that you're white or black even when you're not, does not mean that I'm going to perceive or believe that you are. And I'm also not going to perceive or believe that you're a woman when I very obviously can see that you're a dude.
Well, if dude looks like a lady and dude wants to be called a lady, and if she goes by a different pronoun, and if she walks and talks like a woman and sounds like a woman and wants to be respected as a woman, then who am I to take away that respect from them when I want people to pronounce my name properly? And if you call me Costa, me Costa, I'm going to lose respect for you.
But I'm going to get beat up not even beat up. I don't think I'll get beat up. I'll shoot somebody. I don't care. Like, I'm willing to die about my freedom of speech. No, I'm just letting you know I'm willing to die over my freedom of speech. But I can't say something. Sorry.
I just had to say, dude, I remember in school it took like 6 of us in the swimming pool just to subdue you. And like, you're built now from being in the military. I cannot imagine how many dudes it would have to take to restrain you now.
Well, and ego aside, right? All I'm saying is ego aside, I'm willing to fight for my ability to say what I want to say. And I'm willing to die about it every day of the week. right? And I'm
Well,
okay with that. It's not an opinion. I've accepted that there are consequences to saying or doing things, and when I say or do something, I am prepared for the consequences through my own means of survival. Okay? I don't trust other people to do things or say things that will be in my benefit. I don't trust anybody to be on my side when I say or do things. If they choose to be, that's beneficial to me, obviously, and I appreciate coming across like-minded people. But at the end of the day, I'm doing things completely and utterly of my own volition, and I believe I'm entitled to those thoughts, opinions, statements, and movements. Now, what I'm saying, though, is getting back to the trans thing, if a black person or a white person cannot say that they're the other thing without also making the other side agree that they're that thing, then if I don't agree that you're a female or a male when you speak to me, and I refuse to communicate with you, similar to how a black or a white person would refuse to communicate with me the way that I'm asking them to, when I say that I really believe I'm a black guy, when I'm white, obviously, then we're running into the same argument. These things are all about perception. Perspective is everything. There is no way to get past that. And if I perceive you as the thing that you don't want to be called, and I call you that thing and you get violent, I think that you just need to go to a fucking mental institution because you're refusing to accept that I can't view you the way that you want to be viewed. And you being upset with me for not doing whatever, like you said, a good enough job at convincing me that I should agree to view you that way is your problem. It's not my problem. I'm not suffering at all. I have no issue with continuing on about my day after I call you a dude when you want to be called a female, or a female when you want to be called a dude. I suffered nothing. In fact, I'm going to forget about it shortly after this conversation. Is basically not this conversation. I'm saying like after that interaction. I think they're the same thing. I think the race argument versus the transgender argument is literally the same thing. You are asking somebody to believe you are something that you are obviously not. Every day of the week. Like when Michael Jackson got his skin dyed white, we all still knew he was black. Nobody was confused. He did his best
he had vitiligo.
He did have vitiligo, but he did his best to make it work. If he had tried to say he was white afterwards and he truly believed he was white, there was probably not a white person out there that was going to be like, yeah, you're white. That was, especially in his time period where racism was probably a little more aggressive at that time period, I'd like to say. When he first started, you know. I don't know.
Started? Sorry, I was listening, but
when Michael Jackson first started, I think that the racism was a little stronger back then.
No, it was. It was a lot worse back then. It's getting better now, but
and that's what I'm saying though. So I don't think people would have agreed that he was black or that he was white if he tried saying he was white. And that's no different than fucking what's Bruce Jenner? That's no different. I think that person still looks like a dude, still is a dude, deep ass voice, and threatened to beat the shit out of fucking what, Ben Shapiro, that jackass. I don't like Ben Shapiro either, to be clear. I don't like a lot of the conservative people, but Ben Shapiro was up on stage with him and refused to acknowledge some attributes about him and saying he's biologically still a male, and Bruce Jenner immediately turned into the violent man that he can be.
No, that wasn't Caitlyn Jenner, dude. It wasn't. It was another person. And to be fair, Ben Shapiro was being an asshole.
The same.
Yeah, that's crazy, ain't it? Shapiro. Hold on. Ben Shapiro threatened.
Shapiro wants everybody to respect him.
Like I said, I don't care for Ben Shapiro either. That wasn't the point.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit about Ben.
At the same time, Eric, if you want people to respect you, respect is a two-way street. Those who want respect give respect. And I'm quoting Tony, the varsity athlete soprano here.
Yeah, but that guy wouldn't have threatened somebody like me. He only threatened Ben because Ben was smaller, and Ben looked less threatening.
We don't know that. We don't know that for sure. And to be fair, dude, come on. Like, you're an adult. Don't be like, I'm bigger than them.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that Ben Shapiro is significantly smaller than the guy that he was sitting next to. It was Caitlyn Jenner.
No, it wasn't.
Was it Zoe Tur then? Hold on.
And Drake, to be fair, dude, I've seen little dudes beat the shit out of bigger dudes, man. Like, it's not
Sure, but that's not the point. The point is that person felt much more.
On the average, the bigger person's going to win the slugging match, but on the other hand, there's always a chance the little dude's going to knock the fuck out of the big dude.
Yeah, but
it's not the fucking
that dude. That dude definitely felt much more comfortable If you're larger to someone, you're going to feel more comfortable threatening them. What I'm saying is if that person, I'm pretty sure it was. Where was it, dude? I gotta find this fucking clip now.
Just look up Ben Shapiro. Just look up. You're gonna be. If you call me that again, you're gonna be leaving in an ambulance, Ben Shapiro. Or look up. You're gonna be leaving in an ambulance, Ben Shapiro. Just look that up.
There it is. It is debate Zoe Tur. That's who it was. It was Zoe Tur.
Yeah, that's who it was.
And Zoe Tur is significantly larger than Ben. Now, I'm not saying specifically me. I'm saying that if Zoe Tur was staring at me in that conversation, or somebody that was the same size as Zoe Tur, that individual probably would have had a different opinion or a different outlook on how to handle it. I think that person primarily chose violence because Ben was significantly smaller. I think there was definitely immediately identified. I think I can beat you up, Ben, is basically what Zoe Tur thought. I don't know what Zoe Tur's original name was because I would just call Zoe that. Does not look like a fucking female at all. Zoe Tur, original name. Robert. Robert threatened Ben. Zoe Tur was probably on stage that night, but Robert threatened Ben. That's who it was. And I think that's kind of the big point that I have against a lot of transgender people, is that they choose to be transgender until it doesn't benefit them in that instance. Like, specifically in a violence.
They were still transgender, and I'm sorry, I gotta cut you off here because just dead naming people is just, dude, don't be a dick. Just call them what they want to be called. Dead naming people is like just one of the rudest fucking things you can do to a trans person. If they want to be called one thing, like for example,
what happened to Muhammad Ali?
I'm pretty sure anyone who called him Cassius Clay, he beat the shit out of them or kept trolling them to the point where
there's plenty of whites that still called him Cassius Clay in his time.
Well, there were plenty of whites that called him Cassius Clay, but at the same time, dude, how many of them would have done that to his face or done that in the ring or stepped into the ring with him doing that?
Do you think that beating somebody up prevents them from saying things?
Dude, honestly, there are some times you got to... Dude, to be fair, how many times do you think in school, like, bullies are just going to keep going and be told, hey, stop, knock it off? How many times do you think that after school special bullshit works? Hey, please stop bullying me. No, sometimes you got to beat the fuck out of someone to get them to leave you alone or stop bullying you. How many times does that happen? How many times are you going to hear someone from your parent or your grandparents' generation say, yeah, there was this kid in school that used to give me a hard time, but I broke his nose and he never fucked with me ever again? Sorry, man, but if you want people to fucking stop talking shit to you, you got to make an example out of one of them.
You and I went to the same school, and I'm streaming this conversation right now for fucking just because it's a great conversation, and I love this, honestly. I think you're a great person to debate with. I love having Drake in here. I love having Jacob in here. Jacob's almost never participated in a legitimate conversation with me, so this is really cool. But my main point is that you went to the same school as me.
What about me?
There's no AR, you're not even participating.
All of us did.
My point is that you you can identify the exact same thing that I can identify. Nobody respected violence in that school. Violence was just a means. Not even a little bit.
Dude. Yeah, they did, dude.
Jacob, how many people did you get? How many people
participated in violence at that school?
But it wasn't respected.
On multiple occasions.
You still talk shit after you got beat up. I watched multiple. I'm not going to name people right now, but I know 4 people that repeatedly got in fights, jumped each other over and over again, and continued talking shit to each other. They don't care. You beating somebody up doesn't stop somebody from saying crazy shit to you or about you. It might make me double think about it. Yeah, sure, I'm going to think about it.
Twice.
But once I've thought about it and I've come to the conclusion that I'm still going to say it because I don't give a shit if you beat me up, I'm still going to say this crazy thing. And you're still going to have to hear it.
You're probably an idiot.
Sure. That's my point. There's a lot of idiots out there, and there's going to be people out there that just don't fear getting beat up or assaulted. When you decide to say as a trans person that you're angry now and violence is the answer to you getting bullied or you getting fucked with in public. If violence is the only way you can solve your issue of making people believe that you're trans, then obviously you're not fitting the bill because, unfortunately, you're just being violent.
Well, you're being violent, but at the same time, violence is really the only. If violence is really the only way to get people to stop talking shit, dude. I mean, hey, look
Then
at the
you failed.
Americans. Look at the Americans, dude. They revolted against the British Empire because violence was the only way that they were going to get the British to listen to them and leave them alone. Because they tried every fucking route. They even tried saying, "Hey, can we send a representative to Parliament so we can have a voice in the government?" And the British said, "No, fuck you. You're a bunch of uneducated colonists and prisoners that we just sent over there. You're not going to have a voice. We will make your decisions for you." Look at the black South Africans that revolted against apartheid. You know, the British and the whites were not the British.
So violence in a mass.
No, hold on.
You're right, is what I'm saying.
South Africans. Well, thank you. The whites who were ruling the South Africans kept saying, "Oh, look at how violent these black people are." Well, to be fair, you didn't want to fucking give them rights. You didn't want to listen to them. So then the ANC felt it had no alternative other than to landmine the roads and blow up white people in their cars because, well, the white people didn't want to give those poor K words. And when I say K words, that's basically, I don't want to repeat it, but that's what they called them. They, you know.
Right. So your point was made after the first example. I got you.
What the K word could possibly be if you could just say it out loud.
No, I'm not going to because it's a filthy word and I don't want to repeat it and it has a lot of negative connotation and I have more, class than that.
I'm a little clueless on the subject of anything South African related.
Yeah, I actually have no idea as well.
I cannot bring myself to repeat it on live stream, especially. I feel uncomfortable saying the N word. I feel uncomfortable saying the K word. Just look, I'll spell it out for you.
If you text it, I'll say it.
IR. No, it's KFFIR. That's the way I'm going to spell it. Like
Fira?
It's KFFIR. No. Sorry. KAFFIR.
KAFFIR. Kiffer?
Yeah, that's what they call. Yeah, that's what they called them.
What is it? What does it specifically refer to?
Yeah, I've never heard that before.
It's basically the N word for black South Africans. And guys, just please be very careful if you ever say that word because you might end up fucking, pissing some people off.
Yeah, I'm not calling somebody it, but I'm moving on though.
I don't want to repeat that shit. That's all I'm saying.
Like I said, I am uneducated in the subject.
Yeah, I don't even. Yeah, all right. We'll move on from that though.
Offensive historically.
Look, all I'm saying though is we need to.
Violence is definitely an option. Violence is definitely an option. Yeah,
violence is definitely an option. Dude, if you want people to. But
I don't think that the trans community is big enough to make violence a good option for them. Is what I'm trying to say.
But what about Stonewall? The Stonewall riot was to make sure gay people put their foot down and to make sure that they weren't going to be beat up or brutalized by the cops anymore just for having a pride parade.
Are trans people being beat up and brutalized by the cops?
Yeah, it's happened.
Okay, but are they being targeted?
Not just they're being targeted, but not by cops specifically. There's lots of instances where trans people just get fucking killed just for existing.
Sure, but are they being targeted by the state, by the government? Is my question.
Well, considering that there are a lot of politicians.
If I get arrested as a transgender is what I'm asking. I'm not asking about politicians, what they're trying to do right now in government. I'm saying right now, if I'm a transgender walking on the street, should I fear for my life that a police officer is going to brutalize me?
As of now, you will not be arrested for being trans, and a cop is not going to beat the fuck out of you. But honestly, though, there's a lot of Republicans that would prefer if it was that way because that's how much they hate.
Sure, but there's definitely people who disagree with that, though, and I think that there's enough of them that's not a threat in their life. I don't think that trans are being oppressed by the police. To be honest with you, I would heavily disagree with that if you did say that, and I'm glad you didn't say that. But I will say that there's definitely a large number of people that don't feel comfortable around trans because trans really aren't having a good rap for what they've accomplished or done in society because there's not a lot of them. And the ones that participate in society really don't add a lot to it. I mean, they're really
Okay,
no
what
different
about
than Section 8 housing people who are struggling, and then there's the
come on,
few
man.
that aren't. There's the few that aren't struggling. They're just
Okay.
not good people. I grew up around plenty of bad people in Section 8 housing.
Series? Who made the Matrix series? Who made the Matrix series? The Matrix movie series. One of the most
push your point. I didn't watch it. I don't know.
Well, wasn't it Zack Snyder? Or no,
Zack Snyder.
it wasn't. Sorry,
it wasn't. That wasn't Zack Snyder. Two brothers who ended up both coming out as women and are now sisters. They ended up making the Matrix movies. The woman who made the annoying Orange series is trans. She used to be Dane Bowe is now a woman, and I just learned that the other day. And
what's the point behind this?
The Annoying Orange had an impact on American culture. It had its own TV show. It has millions of subscribers. It was a meme that a lot of people genuinely loved. You know, the Annoying Orange is part of American culture.
Did they think they were trans back then? Is that confirmed?
Well, I don't know. All I know is that they came out now, and that's the experience for a lot of trans people. They have gender dysphoria when they're kids. Here's another thing. The lead singer of the band Against Me, Laura Jane Grace, came out as trans in 2012. And then people were making a big deal out of that recently as if she had just come out just now. When really, you know, Laura has been trans since we were just starting high school, just leaving middle school. Like, trans people in America, there's lots of trans people who have made good contributions to society. It's just that there's a lot of trans people that, you know, get portrayed as the main face of the community when,
to be clear,
there's so much more to the trans community than just the people who have mental issues, the people who have drug addiction issues, or the people that idealize suicidal ideation. Because I mean, it happens a lot in the trans community. A lot of trans people have mental issues because, again, when you have, you know, problems with how you view yourself, you know, when you have problems with yourself, dude, like, even for a cisgender person, how like you and I, you know,
right, and it's called a mental disorder.
You have problems with your own
self-image. It's called a mental disorder when you have too strong of a problem with yourself, though. Like, this depression is a mental disorder. Anxiety is a mental disorder, and depression usually can involve a high or a very low self-esteem or low self-image, right? And that is considered a mental disorder. And what I'm suggesting is that most trans people have that issue for who they are and what they are, right? So they are still participating in as a mental disorder. And I'm not saying that I'm a doctor, so I'm not going to be able to make the determination that transgender people are in fact living a mental disorder. All I'm saying is that it's very close to being said thing. And that's my main point. I will secede because of your argument about the two or three different instances.
Not secede.
Huh?
You said secede. You said secede. The words concede. Sorry. Had to just be a grammar Nazi there for a minute.
Secede.
No, the word secede means you break away. Concede means you're willing to give ground. Or you're willing to basically say, yeah, you know what, you have a point. But
achieve the desire or result. I did achieve the desired result, which was to come to a conclusion that we both agreed to. But I will also concede. I'll do both just to kind of make you happy. I will concede to the fact that trans have supplied something to society. But my main point right now, hold on, I'm fucking climbing. Isn't that trans are bad for society? And I wanted to make that clear. I don't think they're bad for society. I think if you can participate in society with your dick cut off or your vagina pushed out into a dick in some way, shape, or form, whatever, that's your prerogative. Whatever. I don't care how it works. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't care. Don't care how it works. I don't want to know.
You should at least know.
I don't have to know because I'm not a doctor. That's not my. I don't really care how they get to that. That's their prerogative to have that surgery.
That's just willfully wanting to remain ignorant, man. Sorry,
sure.
That's just willful ignorance.
I agree. I don't want to know. I don't care. It's not gonna. I'm not gonna remember it later. It's unimportant to this conversation too. How they go through their surgeries. That it's just not right. The point I'm trying to make is that I'm not saying that they're bad for society, right? I do agree with you that they're not bad for society. I'm saying that the way
Like
that it's
everybody
been
else, man.
gone about, though, is terrible. I don't think that it should be participated in children's life. I think if the child comes to the conclusion at the age of, like, I don't know, 16, and they make the decision to try to do something, just like when you're 16, how you can get emancipated, then yeah, I guess 16 to 18, you can go do your crazy shit. But after 18, you can do whatever the fuck you want, right? And you get to make the argument, well, they suffered for like 8 years as children. It's like, yeah, but children think all sorts of things. I'm not going to trust a child, and I'm just not going to trust a child to make a active decision in their life. Just not going to. And I don't think that anybody should. I think there's a reason that children get guided by teachers, counselors, communities, and other adults to make the right decision in life. My main point is that it seems like the direction that has consistently been made is that, especially in some of the more liberal states, is that the parents shouldn't have as much control over their children, which I think they should have almost total control over what their children are allowed to go do and what activities they're allowed to participate in. Because unfortunately, for most of the liberal United States people that may or may not watch this, raising your child is like, that's part of it, is deciding what they get to learn and what they get to know. Now, if you're being abusive, that's different. But I don't think that refusing somebody to make a huge decision like cutting off one of their body parts is something that would be considered abuse. I just don't, and I won't agree to any conversation that leads to that being a conclusion. Is all I'm saying. That's my main thing that I have with the trans community personally. Is just that. I just don't think they should participate in children decisions. Does that make sense? Is that fair? Do you disagree with that?
I would say that it's not my kid, so why do I give a shit? Just like how it's not my fetus, so why do I give a fuck if a woman aborts it?
Okay, with that same sentiment, then you don't mind if I marry a 5-year-old that's somebody else's kid.
Oh, dude, okay, come on. Now you're just... This is a false equivalency.
No, it's not a false equivalent.
It's a false equivalency.
They should be allowed to go through a surgery that fucks their whole body up differently than it could have been had they come to a different conclusion later, which is a thing that happens. The remorse of making an action that you weren't prepared to deal with because you weren't old enough to recognize its consequences.
There's a different... Dude, There's a difference between being a trans kid and then marrying a child off. The trans kid's not being married off to a fucking, I don't think there is. Could be argued as a pedophile.
A 5-year-old? You're okay with a 5-year-old cutting themselves up and having a surgery?
I didn't say I was comfortable with a 5-year-old going through a gender reassignment surgery. No one's giving a 5-year-old a gender. Nobody is giving... Eric, don't be a fucking retard, dude. No one is giving a fucking child a gender reassignment surgery to that level.
Okay, there's no reason...
Come on,
there's no reason to resort to insults. I'm not being a retard. Right, I'm making a legitimate argument, right?
I'm not trying here, but it's like, dude, come on, man. Use your brain.
I am using my brain. If I can allow a child to be castrated, like between the ages of fucking 0 and probably 14, 15, somewhere in that range. Don't say nobody's doing that. I'll have to look it up. And pull up evidence that it's happened.
Then pull up the evidence, dude. Why are you making a statement like this if you don't even have the evidence pulled up? Like, this is low key. Like,
all right, buddy. That's okay. I'll pull it up.
I've never heard of it. I want to see the evidence. Oh, shit. Why am I... Oh, cuticle. I'm like, why am I bleeding? Oh.
Pull it up on your computer. That way you don't have to cite sources, and we can all just view it via the stream.
You can see my stream, right?
Hold on. Brazen thieves are walking into hotels and enjoying complimentary buffet breakfasts and getting away with it.
I just asked this thing.
I personally stand by my statement that anybody should be able to do whatever the fuck they want as long as they're not hurting other individuals. If you want to chop off your dick, Go
Here,
for it.
according to the Harvard Chan School of Public Health, a 2019 study found no gender-affirming surgeries were performed on transgender youth aged 12 or younger. From 2019 to 21, among minors with a gender dysphoria diagnosis, 56 received genital surgeries between 13 and 17. 776 underwent mastectomies, top surgery. A JAMA study highlighted that approximately 150 minors underwent gender-affirming surgeries in 2019, but 97% of those were cisgender male teens treated for gynecomastia, not transgender youth. Major medical authorities typically recommend that genital surgeries be postponed until 18. The usual pathway involves psychosocial support, puberty blockers, hormone therapy, surgery at 18 or older. There are reports of young children as young as 3 to 10 being referred to gender clinics, but that does not mean they undergo surgery. Such referrals primarily for assessment or supportive counseling, and this is from Adelaide Now and factcheck.org. So yeah,
it looks like vaginoplasty and phalloplasty is not happening before the age of 18 in U.S. and Europe. I was not aware of that, so that is news to me, and I'll take that. I'm happy that that's the case.
Yeah, I'm glad that you are smart enough to look that up and say, you know what? Yeah, this is instead of just doing what a lot of Republicans do and go, nah, I don't believe.
I'm not a Republican.
Shit.
Please stop comparing me to a Republican.
I'm not.
Please stop doing that, though. I really don't like that you do that. You always compare me to a Republican and say Republican whenever you're speaking to me. I am not a Republican. I do not believe in Republican views in their whole entity. I don't agree with Democrats. I don't think that either side is correct. I think they're both extreme. And
I'm not comparing you to a Republican. I'm not saying you do things like a Republican. I'm saying thank you for not doing things like what Republicans do, as a symbol of respect. I don't mean to compare you to a Republican, and I apologize if that's how I come off. I'm saying you are smarter than those guys, and I appreciate you for being smarter than those guys. That's how I'm framing it. So I apologize if I don't come off that way.
Yeah, I got you. I'll let that go. And I appreciate you saying that. But yeah, my only goal is to just be correct. That's all I care about. So
exactly.
I don't mind being wrong in that assumption. I was pretty positive I saw that there was some push to allow it, so maybe that's what I've just confused in my fucking memory, and I'll accept that I was just wrong about that. And I'm happy that I'm wrong about that, to be clear. I'm not even upset that I'm wrong about that. That's a good thing. I hope that remains, but I will say that I've definitely seen in the past, and I don't know where I'll find it at anymore. It's not really being pushed anymore, but there was definitely a small push to allow children at very young ages to participate in hormone therapy and a couple other things that affected their growth as children. I can find that at least.
I need to read more. Into
therapy.
That. But
has there been any?
Damn, I keep getting killed. Ouch. I keep getting died. Pew, pew, pew. Damn, I am hungry, but I don't want any.
So puberty blockers are often hormone therapies using GnRH analogs. Puberty blockers are legally and clinically used in the U.S. to delay physical onset of puberty in transgender youth who have already begun puberty, often around ages 10 to 13. To give them more time to explore their gender identity without distress of unwanted secondary sexual characteristics. That's crazy. A scoping review in 2024 found multiple studies that show, this is the Mayo Clinic that said that, to be clear. That's what that cited from. A scoping review in 2024 found multiple studies showing that when these blockers are used in transgender adolescents, there are observable mental health improvements, reduced depression, anxiety during and after the treatment. Some of these adolescents were under the age of 16. Age of starting cross-sex or gender-affirming hormones. In large insurance claims-based study covering privately insured use ages 8 to 17, almost no patients under age 12 were prescribed cross-sex or gender-affirming hormones. Hormone treatments begin more commonly in older adolescents, so probably after 12. Thus, hormone therapy in children younger than 12. That was the Harvard Gazette, by the way, that said that. What is that? Let me see what that is. Yeah, that's Harvard that said that. Thus, hormone therapy in children younger than 12 is effectively not used or extremely rare, and according to recent national level data. Still think it's crazy they're giving it to them 10 to 13. I can understand 16, maybe 15, but maybe 15. I feel like at 15 you're pretty aware that you're gay when you're gay, or pretty aware you're straight when you're straight.
There's some people.
I think people realize when they're young. You know, I agree that you're able to recognize when you're young. My argument towards allowing children under like fucking 13 and 14 to do it is just that there's a lot that happens to the brain chemically, and making a decision when you're not even fully developed is just like, we don't even let children really get tattoos, right? There's very few communities. There's very few communities that supply their own reasons for allowing that. But I feel comfortable saying that a wide demographic of the United States agrees that children shouldn't be getting tattoos, right? Just at their free will. For the most part. And tattoo artists get a tattoo. And tattoo artists require adults to sign for them until they're 18.
Yes.
So like that's why I'm saying I think it's a pretty obvious like thing that's not allowed to do for the most part. But at 13, we're pretty comfortable giving hormones to children. That's just crazy to me. These children aren't. You can't agree that you were mentally fit to handle the world at 8 to 12. I'm not going to say I was at all.
Dude, I was just more concerned with completing the video game Super Mario Sunshine when I was 8.
That's what I'm saying.
I was blessed enough, though, to feel comfortable in my own skin and know that, yes, I am a boy. I like being a boy. You know, having a penis is pretty cool because I can spin it around and pretend I'm an elephant. Like,
real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
What?
Drake, did you hop out? Or did you... Oh, no, you're in here. Where are you? I don't think Drake can hear me in here. Let me mute him as well. Oh, he is muted. Is he talking?
Yeah, he's talking. He said I'm at the top.
You're at the top? I've had Drake muted this whole time. Has he said anything?
Can we talk about how...
Sorry to interrupt that. I feel like we came to a pretty good conclusion for that, by the way.
No.
Right.
You know he was going for the dome shot, and he was like a solid 4 or 5 inches low. Hell of a neck shot, though.
You talking about for Charlie Kirk?
Watch. Yes.
I think the angle I saw, the one I saw, it looked like he just got shot straight in the chest. It didn't look that brutal.
His head tilted to the side, man.
Straight through the fucking neck. And
I mean, he's dead. He's dead. I don't mean to say that a murder isn't brutal. I'm just saying it looked like it was a pretty dead-on shot. Yeah, I could be wrong.
It was pretty fucked up. Like, I'm surprised it hasn't gotten flagged on Facebook. You know, where you gotta fucking click.
It will. It will eventually, for sure.
Because it is a very gruesome shot. A lot of blood pouring out very quickly.
Damn.
This guy's ragdolling me around.
Are you getting attacked?
I mean, though, at the end of the day, you can't really expect to say all the stuff he said and not have violence visited upon you, though. I mean, I'm not really surprised he ended up not condoning violence of the political level, but this dude just peddled white supremacist rhetoric and a whole bunch of other bullshit. And, you know, to act like that violence wasn't going to be visited upon him in one form or another is just naive.
I will say that the guy deserved to die, but like his whole thing was inciting arguments.
Like, he was a troll. He was a political troll. That was his whole shtick.
He was literally a fucking solo debate club, is what the dude was.
And it wasn't even
a
about
lot of
debate for the
people
most.
are not calm, cool, and collected, and someone's going to take one thing you said out of pocket or out of context and be like, all right, I'm just going to kill this motherfucker. And I kind of feel like that's what happened. Like, yeah, I don't agree with everything the guy said. I think I've seen a couple clips where I was like, yeah, he kind of has a point. But, like, if you fucking sit there and say something in a specific way, you can make a point out of just about anything.
Yeah, you can,
I don't know.
but at the
I
same
don't think the guy deserved to die.
a stop clock is right twice a day. But at the end of the
Yep,
day, your
yep.
words, your actions and your words have consequences. And at the end of the day, you truly do reap what you sow. And,
Yep.
you know, not to try to add insult to injury, but this dude was genuinely, he was not a rhetorician or a, you know,
I don't know what
philosopher
that
that
word
was
means, dude. Dumb it down a little bit.
a person who
Philosopher, I know
talks
that one.
bigly, a person who talks bigly and goodly with
Okay.
specialness.
Copy.
He's
That
not
makes sense.
he's not a celebrated philosopher. He was a right-wing hack who would do and say anything if it meant pushing his agenda further. And a lot of people celebrated him because he simply confirmed their own prejudices. And it's good when you have someone who say smart word in small sentences to justify what you're saying, until there's always a bigger fish, which is like what Qui-Gon Jinn said. You know, he like Ben Shapiro, like not to change the subject.
Reference.
Yeah, exactly.
That tied it up very nicely. That made it all
Exactly.
click very well.
Not to change the subject from one person, from Kirk to Shapiro, but too quickly. But Shapiro went on BBC to try to talk to Andrew Neil, who's basically a fossilized Thatcherite. And, you know, Andrew Neil is a conservative, a British conservative who, in the days of Thatcher, he was very prominent. And he basically, Margaret Thatcher was the prime minister of the United Kingdom. She was a conservative. She was the first woman, female. She was woman prime minister. I don't want to say female. I sound like a fucking incel. She was the first woman prime minister of the United Kingdom, but she was also extremely controversial. While home ownership did increase under her rule, she screwed over a whole bunch of heavy industries in the United Kingdom. She basically turned Scotland into an anti-conservative bastion to this day. She arguably ruined a lot of people's lives.
Drake, I just got to the top. I'm sorry.
Also, what else?
I was getting ripped around by that dude still.
I would have revived you. I'm sorry. You can't go away from me too far.
It just anyway.
Okay. You just can't go away from me too far. It kicks you.
She also covered for Jimmy Savile, who was even worse than P. Diddy. You know, I don't even know if that's even really a standard that can be beat, but Jimmy Savile was genuinely worse than P. Diddy on so many fucking levels. And
but wasn't P. Diddy acquitted?
Yeah.
No, P. Diddy was found not guilty on a few things, but he's still been found guilty on other things. Jimmy Savile raped and molested children and vulnerable people for 50 years, and that ranges from about 450 that we know of to probably well over 1,000 victims, and those are the ones that didn't want to come forward. And Margaret Thatcher covered for him. Margaret Thatcher, you know, there were allegations that were brought up to her attention, and she basically said, Jimmy could not have done this sort of thing, you cretinous wet. And what else do I say? Well, he was beyond a bad guy. The dude was fucking pure evil, and
the Thatcher bitch.
Thatcher was seen as a very divisive. Is still seen to this day as an extremely divisive figure in British politics. There's what many.
Divisive mean?
Divisive means that she divided people.
Okay.
And Margaret Thatcher is, you know, respected as a staunch, upstanding figure for the United Kingdom that didn't take shit from anyone, but she's also detracted as someone who bent over for Ronald Reagan's wishes, someone who was very, very, very friendly to the racist white South African government so her son could get business deals there, someone who was willing to essentially screw over part of the entire United Kingdom just so that the rich could get richer while the poor are getting poorer. And look, that's besides the point. When Ben Shapiro went to Andrew Neil and basically argued with him on the BBC because Andrew Neil said, Mr. Shapiro, why is it that there are basically saying, why are Americans calling for abortion to be criminalized at the point where a woman who has
Wait, so what are we talking about right now?
We're talking about how, you know, Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk were just shitty rhetoricians who.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on them personally. I think that they have good things to say. I think they probably said some things that that probably weren't the best. I think that when you speak a lot, you're going to say good shit and you're going to say dumb shit. It's just the case. I've said lots of stupid shit. Right. Well, and unfortunately, that's just part of being a public speaker. I think you're going to say dumb shit. Now, I will say that I think I've seen like 2 or 3 different occasions where both Ben and Charlie Kirk have went back and went like during the conversation, during a debate. Well, no, you're right about that, and just conceded to an argument. I think that they're primarily rational speakers. I think they just have pretty strong beliefs. They're very passionate people. I don't think that either of them were trying to go out of their way to be malice. I think that they just had beliefs, and they don't always fit within. Like you were saying, I think Charlie Kirk doesn't really agree that transgenders should exist. China doesn't think fucking Muslims should exist, and they've literally labeled them a fucking disease. Like it's a mental disease to be Islamic in China right now, and they're actually hoarding them and doing exactly what Germany did to the Jews. And Germans thought that they were right as well. I'm not saying that any of these things are correct, to be clear, right? What I'm saying is I think these
from topic to topic too quickly.
What I'm saying is I think that these people are passionate about what they believe in, and I think that some of the things that they say are intelligent, and there's merit to it. And I think that the way that they're handling it oftentimes is probably not the best way to handle it. But I'm personally not just gonna like sit here and listen to you shit on somebody like that aggressively. I mean, you can disagree with their opinions, and you can go ahead and do that, but I just don't want to participate in a conversation where we just shit on somebody. I like ideological conversations. I really don't like talking about people for the things that they're still going through, trying to learn to be a better person. I think that Ben honestly wants to be a good person and honestly wants what's good for what he believes America is. And I think that Charlie was in the same prospect, but how they went about it, maybe it wasn't the best way. Maybe it's not the best way. Maybe they can do better. I think there's always room for improvement. That's where I sit. And like I said, I don't agree with either of them. I think abortion should be allowed pretty much indefinitely. I don't really care if trans exist. They can participate in marriage. They can participate in legal counsel. They can participate in all sorts of things. I personally don't agree that trans should participate in the military at the highest tiers, because oftentimes, if you have any medical disability or any medical situation that will slow you down even a little bit, I don't want you in special forces. Just like I don't think women belong in special forces. I'll die on that hill. Nobody can convince me otherwise. I've never met a woman that will outdo the strongest man or the best man or for that particular physical situation when push comes to shove. Right? There's certain things. Sure. Oh, I don't think it's a debate at all, personally. I mean, the statistics just show that every time a woman is involved inside of military format, we just lower standards so that they can participate and be in higher positions. And that's not like anything except a literal fact. That is what happens every time we put women inside of military positions. They are naturally more physically fit. And that's who you want behind you.
Stronger than a woman. I mean, yeah, that's a man. Men are more physically stronger than women. That's just a fact. Nobody's really disputing that. It's just, I just wanted to say that Ben Shapiro, before we get too off topic, I just want to say, people like Ben Shapiro, they have advocated for the ethnic cleansing of Palestine in the past, so all the Jews can come in and basically take over the settlements. And you have people like Charlie Kirk who have pushed the great replacement, theory that, the brown people are going to come in and they're going to take your jobs and illegals are going to steal your homes. And they're just shitty people. Ben Shapiro's not a good person in my opinion. Charlie Kirk was not a good person in my opinion. He's dead now.
Can you pull up those two specific arguments?
Yeah, I can actually. Hold on.
I appreciate that.
Let's see.
Hey, just send them to me, and I'll literally put them on my Discord stream because Jacob's watching my stream right now.
Charlie Kirk, white supremacist statements. Search. See, Kirk has frequently echoed the white nationalist great replacement conspiracy theory. He warned that, quote, we native-born Americans from the Southern Poverty Law Center. Here, I'm going to send these to you real quick. I'm going to put them in the stressful
Gotcha.
chat.
I love the stressful topics.
That's such a great chat, dude.
March 2024, he asserted the great replacement is not a theory, it's reality. On X, fuck X, I'm not calling it X, it's Twitter. Kirk posted, whiteness is great, be proud of who you are.
Do you not like probably the most American person to ever exist? I'm being honest. Do you actually not like Elon? That guy's so capitalistic and so American.
I don't like Elon.
It's painful.
I don't like Elon. I think he's
so successful.
I think he's no, he's not. He's a scam artist, dude. He's such a scam artist. He's a bullshit artist. The fact that Trump called him a bullshit artist should be a red flag to you.
Trump? You think I mean, Trump's my POTUS, so like realistically, I can't disagree with Trump. I can have a difference of opinion, but I'm not allowed to talk about what I think about Trump, unfortunately. But I will say
you can say
that.
Wait, can't you say that by saying my opinions are my own, not according to the Department of Defense or whatever?
That's a good way to get in trouble. It doesn't matter. I'm just not going to have an opinion against my president until I get out. That's just what it is. And obviously, nobody on my stream knows my name. But all I'm saying is like, realistically, I'm just not going to participate in that even a little bit. You're welcome to say what you want about him. I definitely support your belief on that. But all I'm going to say is just because one person or a few people had a disagreement with him, and he is a very aggressively, openly spoken person. I mean, I still think Elon's probably a very successful individual, and he's successful in the same way I like to think Americans are. One of like my favorite statements is we don't attain accuracy through perfection. We attain accuracy through volume, right? That dude just does shit over and over and over again until he finds a way to make something work. That I like his determination and I like his methods. People can disagree with that. I personally prefer it. I like accuracy through volume. I love it.
Even though Elon Musk is the reason that California wasn't able to get with a high-speed rail because he promised them the Hyperloop, even though he made up some shit about how digging a tunnel underground for cars is going to be better than a subway or high-speed rail, and basically Tesla's in a tunnel sounds like a fucking horrible death trap, even though he has promised that he's going to get to the moon, he's going to get to Mars, and getting to the moon and building a lunar base is much more feasible than going to Mars and building civilization there, because that's just a terrible fucking idea. And it sounds like a complete waste of money. We should be doing
yeah, but it's his money though, right? He's using his money. So who cares?
Money. No. It's not just his money. It's his money, and it's also the fact that he's getting a shit ton of government contracts to do shit like this too. So it's also our money that he's putting into rockets and blowing up in the sky. And if it was the U.S. government blowing up rockets at this rate, everyone would be up in fucking arms. But when it's Elon Musk doing it, he's just trying to do better for humanity. How dare you speak out against Elon? And
yeah, but he's definitely made some massive changes to the aerospace community. He's made some massive changes to the electronic vehicle group. And to my understanding, did he ever build those fucking power generator things for cities or whatever? He's building these like factories for power. I remember he built like one. How many super... I don't even know what to call them.
All right, I'm out of here. I gotta go to bed.
Oh, also, I just gotta get back to Charlie Kirk, though.
Yeah, I got you.
Describe pro-black athletes as black people tend to be more athletically inclined to be good at basketball, which is kind of a fucked up statement. He labeled George Floyd a scumbag and disparaged urban communities as destructive, praising Minnesota's Scandinavian heritage. He warned of a deliberate and venomous anti-white campaign in America. He deemed Juneteenth a neo-segregationist federal holiday, calling it pagan garbage when, dude, Juneteenth is literally the celebration of the last slaves
Is this in that same thing you sent me?
Yeah. It's all
I'm
in
looking
Media
through it
Matters.
right now. Yeah, I'm looking through it right now. And this is splcenter.org. What are they?
No, hold on. I forgot. I didn't send the Southern Poverty Law Center. Sorry. Here's the
real quick
the
though,
media.
what is the SPLC?
The Southern Poverty Law Center.
Law Center. So this is what? What is their thing? It says org, so
I will look them up for their MO because I cannot explain that thoroughly right now. It's a prominent civil rights nonprofit founded to monitor and expose extremist groups such as the KKK, neo-Nazis, and anti-government militias. It's to combat white supremacy through investigative research and advocacy. It publishes impactful reports, including the Year in Hate and Extremism, and operates the Hate Watch blog to track hard right disinformation campaigns and hateful ideologies. And
it's based in Montgomery, Alabama.
They have described TPUSA, and in a place like Alabama, they are definitely needed. TPUSA is seen as a well-funded hard right organization with ties to SPLC identified hard right extremists. And dude, that's true. Like, I know someone who helped start a TPUSA chapter at my university. I'm not going to say which who out of privacy, but
it was started by a white dude and a black dude in 1971. So it was founded by Morris Dees, Joseph J. Levin Jr., and Julian Bond. Apologies. As a civil rights law firm. So it's a law firm. Okay. So at the very least, we can assume that they're basing what they have off of evidence. I doubt that they're just saying things.
Yes.
Okay.
No, the Southern Poverty Law Center is not going to just say things on a fucking hunch. If they got hard evidence that...
Well, they don't have the option to do that, though. That's my point, is they just don't have the opportunity. That's not something they're allowed to do. Like, they don't have that right.
No, you're right. You can't just fucking say things on a hunch. You have to have proof because they will get sued if they don't.
Yep. And this is a viable source, is all I'm saying. All
right.
I'm reading through this right now.
I appreciate you recognizing that.
Yeah. I'm looking through this right now. So then
the SPLC has quoted Kirk's rhetoric explicitly as, "We native-born Americans are being replaced by foreigners," and pledges that Trump will liberate the country from what he called an enemy occupation of the foreign hordes. And I don't know, dude, as someone who has a foreign father and as someone whose grandparents, all four of them, are foreigners from Greece, Greek people, when we first came here, we got shit on by the rest of the white people for not being American enough. And, you had the Greektown riot in South Omaha, Nebraska in the early 1900s where one Greek guy shot a cop because he got caught with a hooker. And
right.
So from the Greek guy's perspective, oh no, she's just giving me English lessons. But from the cop's perspective, no, you're hanging out with a hooker. We can't have that. And
so, I can't speak on the Greek side. And I definitely know there was quite a bit of hate towards a lot of immigrants coming into the United States, and I agree that that's a problem for people who come here legally. I don't believe in the Great Replacement theory. I don't think that that's a thing.
No,
it's definitely. Huh? No. I'm saying I don't think that it's a thing. I don't think it's actually happening.
Oh well.
I think that the Great Replacement theory is a bad perspective on what's happening. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would say that too.
I think that there's definitely going to be a surplus, or not a surplus, a much higher amount of people that are just not ethnically white coming to America. That makes sense. India now has the largest population in the world. They finally surpassed China. They're ethnically not white, primarily. They're primarily of a darker, more. They're more towards like. They're Indian. They look the skin complexion that they are, right? They do not have what would be considered like a Portuguese, Greek, or British look, right? I think Greeks are actually kind of tan too a lot of the time, though. So maybe that's a bad example.
Yeah, they really are.
But
no, they really are, and there are some Greeks that do look like, some of them are so dark that they actually could pass as Arab. Some of them have dark hair and dark eyes to the point where I sat next to a Greek guy one time at a barber shop, and I was in near my hometown, and I was like, damn, is this dude from like Saudi Arabia or something? But when he sat down in a chair and the guy knew him, and he's like, so when are you going back to Greece, man? He's like, oh, I've got to go back soon. I got to go back into the army. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're Greek? And I started talking Greek to him, and he winked at me. And, dude, instant fucking brotherhood, man, because no matter where you are, what you look like, if you are Greek, if you speak the language, if you can, if you sound like you're from Greece, man, you are a Greek in my eyes. If you can speak my people's language, you are Greek in my eyes. Like, there's this guy called Obi Oma on am I quoting? Please let me just say I'm quoting his Instagram right. Like, dude, he's just this big black Greek man with like a Giga Chad chin. Who please I gotta look him up because he is just fucking hilarious. Obi Oma, yeah, Christopher Obi Oma, who's a Greek guy because Greece has a community of Nigerians. And dude, Nigerians are some of the nicest fucking people. They are some of the most upstanding people you will ever meet. Like, you've heard the term Nigerian scammers, like, but I mean, I've never met a bad Nigerian guy, dude. All the Nigerians I've ever met are just some of the sweetest people you'll ever see. And like, same with Indians. I've never met a bad Indian guy. Yeah, there's phone scammers out there, but all the Indians I've met, they're just hardworking people. And that's this whole like great replacement thing that I find and I keep hearing about it's just fucking hateful, dude.
Well, like, and all I was saying is I think that the great replacement theory has merit. I just don't think it's the right perspective. I don't think that they're coming here to take things from whites. I think that there's definitely been a large number of reported incidences with foreigners coming here and being violent, and that's a problem. Right, that's a separate problem. That is a lack of integration, in my opinion, when we're seeing these acts. And then also, I'd like to have, like, I personally want to see either Harvard or some law firm or somebody do a investigation on all of these acts of violence to see if there is any correlation to them, aside from just them being from a foreign country. Because if there's not, then unfortunately, we need to draw some type of conclusion to solve this. There is definitely a rise in those specific category of violence, right? And you can pull up the statistics for that if you'd like. I mean, I'd love to be corrected if that's wrong. If there hasn't been a rise between 2023 to 2024, right? Because we're not all the way through 2025 yet, and maybe even 2023 to 2025. Pretty sure there's been a rise in immigrants committing crimes against already citizens, like people who were born here, like naturally born.
I'm looking that up right now. Like, rise of immigrant crimes between 2020 and 2025. Yeah, there's no widespread evidence of increases in immigrant crime. Long-standing research consistently finds that immigrants, both documented and undocumented, tend to commit crimes at lower rates than U.S.-born citizens because they, like, not to sound stereotypical, but a lot of immigrants are generally raised with a very strict set of parents that, dude, like, growing up, like, I have an immigrant father and a mother who was born to immigrant parents. Like, whenever I was doing goon shit with my friends would be like, oh, well, come on, dude. Oh my God. Like, your parents aren't going to fucking like, dude, no, fuck you, man. Like, my parents made sure where I was at all times. My parents, they monitored me. My parents, like, immigrant parents look after their kids more than American-born parents, like, will look after their kids, because American parents take a lot of liberties with their kids that a lot of immigrant parents just don't want to take, because a lot of immigrant parents tend to be more strict. They tend to be more heavy-handed. They tend to be more, a lot more blunt with their words, or just outright sometimes pretty freaking cruel, with the way they're talking to their kids, because it's like, nah, fuck you, you little asshole. Like, because when your parents, when your grandparents grew up experiencing the fucking direct horrors of World War II as kids, and the whole country got burned down, you might have some pretty strict parents, because they saw some or you might have some pretty strict grandparents because they saw some evil shit growing up, and they want to make sure that the world is better. And like,
I think I see. I think I see an issue here.
I'm not going to say that's the case every time. But
I think I see an issue here on why I feel the way that I feel. And I just looked this up. Of course, media coverage and social media amplification, political messaging, and then psychological factors. They all affect my perspective on what I think is happening. I think the big thing is local versus national. Whereas national trends do definitely show that crime rate from immigrants have lowered. I think it's the local ones that are definitely affecting me more. Because we have crazy amounts of crime in Baltimore, and we were having, I'd say, quite a bit in D.C. And the crimes are just ridiculous. I mean, like, just disgusting crimes. I was seeing all sorts of different murders and shootouts and this and that. I think that's possibly why I was thinking that they were rising. It does look like they have lowered actually since 2022 hold on, what year was it? It was like from 2020 to 2022. No, from 1980 to 2022, the population has doubled and the crime rate has fell by about 34% and property crime by 63%, according to American Immigration Council, which is a .org site as well, to be clear. We can look them up if you'd like. I really don't care. Usually when it's a .org site and it's something of that nature, it's usually ran by somebody of a, what is it called? They have integrity in their statements. They probably have a decent amount of evidence for their claims. They did like a research or investigation. But, I mean, and this is synonymous with what you just said, too, about the immigration and crime rates. I think it's just, I've primarily been seeing a lot of crime from specifically, obviously it's been promoted, just specifically crazy whites, fucking crazy blacks, and crazy Islamic people. I mean, they just have crazy fucking crimes, dude. There's no sane person making these crimes. You know what I'm saying? These aren't like normal people. So, I mean, that's probably why. Whites are going to have the highest amount of crime in general. There's no way for anybody else to keep up. I mean, we just have, when you look at the percentages of population, it's not even close. It's not even close.
White people have a much higher population, but I just do want to say black people and white people do commit crimes at roughly the same rate, but it is black people that end up getting hit with harder penalties and harder sentences, partially because you have juries that, are like, nah, fuck this guy, because there are a lot of white people out there that will hold black people to much harsher, when you're a young African-American male or woman or whatever you are in between, people will judge you more harshly. And that is just a fact that a lot of white people shrug off and they go, no, they don't. And
this comes back to the perception, right? I agree with you. It shouldn't exist, but the perception is definitely affecting that. I'm not going to say I've witnessed it firsthand in the military at all. I've definitely witnessed the opposite, where it was all female, like black female leadership. And we'll be honest with you, they did not like white males. They hated them. You can give every reason to hate them, but we're in a force where it should be all green, should not be a color. None of us had a problem serving under them, but out of 3 of them that I've participated in a very high level, only one of them was not cruel. And she was honestly the coolest leader I've ever participated under. Great person. The other 2 were cruel to a fault towards a lot of people. One of them was just cruel in general, but the other one was cruel to primarily white males. Not gonna lie to you. And it is unfortunate. I mean, they probably developed their opinions and ways of leadership due to the way that they were treated on their way up. And maybe in their personal lives, probably let that affect their decisions a little bit, but definitely very frustrating, to say the least. To get back to the topic
I can
of just
imagine.
crime in general, I mean, I'm wrong. That's
And I
all there is to
appreciate
it.
you. You know, look, man, I gotta say, I do respect you, and I do appreciate you for just saying that. Hey, you know, I'm wrong, and I can make a mistake, because a lot of people these days just have a very fucking hard time admitting that, yeah, I was wrong and I made a mistake. And I think that we as a generation should be going out of our way to celebrate the fact that we can admit we were wrong for trivial things like you know, debates, or, you know,
Yeah.
saying that, yeah, I was wrong about this statistic. But, you know, I mean, no one's going to say, hey, man, I was wrong if you were the guy that let a fucking, you know, let a guy in with a bomb strapped to his chest blow up a nuclear reactor. Like, no one's going to be able to say, yeah, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Like, no, that's not a fuck up that you can just say, yeah,
no, I hear
I'm
you.
sorry, guys. I was,
The
like, you know,
the problem I have with these statistics in general, though, is so I did look this up, and you can look this up. I'll even look it up for you if you want, but it's very easy to find. You can look up the statistics for different ethnicities in their crime rates, and then you can look up their population amounts. And the only one that is significantly worse is the black crime, is specifically. I've definitely heard, I was just watching the other day, dude's not really a great dude, won't lie. He has some interesting opinions, but definitely has a lot of crazy things to say. Nick Fuentes says a lot of crazy shit. I'm sure you've heard of him.
God, no,
yeah.
no.
Hold on. We're not going to talk about him. We're not going to talk about him. That's not what this is about. I'm not here to talk about him. I'm just saying he did say something, because he does say some reasonable things, but he says a lot of crazy shit. The reasonable thing that he said was that if the black community, or the and the reason I'm suggesting this is because he was speaking to a bunch of African Americans, and they refused to be called black. They said that was rude. I don't understand why it's rude, because I don't mind being called white, but and I'm sure not every black person is African American, and they would probably dislike being called African American when they're black and they're not African, when they're whatever country they're from. Dominicans look black. Puerto Ricans look black. Yeah, but they don't call themselves African. They call themselves Dominican. They call themselves Puerto Rican. They might have. We might identify them as Afro because they have some African descent in that country. But once you come from the Dominican Republic to America, you're a Dominican immigrant. You're not an African American. You're a Dominican. You're a Hispanic American is how they want to be identified as. So I dislike that argument and that little bit of like nitpickiness on the description. When it's described in police reports, though, it is described, I believe, as African American when I was looking at it on the statistics site. It's like it goes whites, African American, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, and then something else. I can't remember. There's another like category for a smaller minority. But the blacks have I think they're like 13% of the population, and they're committing like 37 or like 38% of the crime, whereas the whites are like 70% of the population, and they're committing, I think, 50% of the crime. And when you look at the two together and you go, okay, there's obviously an issue there. And the issue can't just be that blacks or African Americans are just inherently bad. That's not a rational answer, right? Because I've met plenty of African Americans that are good dudes. I am best friends with, I think I'm friends with more African American people at this point than I am white people. And that's how much I know that they're not bad people. I'm cool with them. I know them, right? And I'm not saying that in the sense of like, oh, well, I'm friends with African Americans. I don't care if you think I'm racist. That's not the point of this conversation. Not you specifically, but anybody, right? The point is just that I have viewed African Americans be good people all throughout my life.
Right.
Right. So I know it's not specifically that African Americans are a bad thing or a bad group, but there's obviously an issue with the community itself. There's something inherently going wrong there. The other issue is that they're on the other side of it, on the legal side, is back to the punishment side. It's like the punishments are a lot more aggressive. They're wrongfully accused a lot more. That's the other side of the coin. And so the issue is if we're too soft on a community and we're not strict enough on how they should act and what values they should have. I feel like in the white community, specifically where I grew up, it's very strict on how you're supposed to act, how you're supposed to treat people, and how you're supposed to speak to people. I mean, my parents were beat, and then I'm not going to say I was beat, but I was definitely disciplined when I wasn't respectful to somebody, right? And I don't think that same discourse or that same discipline occurs everywhere throughout the African American community. But then again, you've also seen the whites have the issues. But then why would the percentages not be higher for the whites if we're having the same issues when it comes to that? And that comes back to the legal side. So it's like, I don't know. I don't necessarily think being softer on the community is the right decision, but I also don't think being more critical of them in a bad way is the right decision. And when I say that, I mean going straight into racial divide or, too much prejudice. But unfortunately, that's the image that you see. And if you go on Instagram right now and you look up some fucking popular African American and you just look up like some random one, likelihood that they have participated in promoting some type of violence or drug use is much higher than when you look up a random white person, right? It's just when you look them up, you're going to come across somebody that is more likely to have done so. It's not that it's less. It's not gonna happen with the white people because it will. I mean, country singers are constantly singing about drinking beer and whatever the fuck else. And there's plenty of white rappers. I don't mean to cut you off, man. But, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, dude, it's just I gotta be able to say something because this is
go ahead.
Be like changing.
Yeah, I was dragging on. I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're fine. So anyway, I just want to say there's black people that do reject the notion of colorism. And there's honestly, I really do, and myself, I reject the notion of colorism. I don't even really like identifying as white. Yeah, I'll put it down the fact that I'm white on a paper, but I'm an American citizen of Greek descent. I prefer to identify as being Greek overall because, I think that being white or being black or being brown is just, here's the thing. In America, when you're referred to as black, most black people are just dark brown. And I think that the whole idea of being white and being black is used as a kind of a club to differentiate. Oh, well, I'm white, therefore I am pure, and you are black, and you are evil. And I think it's used I think it's used as a very negative connotation, and I don't really agree with how race is set up in the United States because America was built as originally a very racist country. The United States enslaved black people for 80-something years from 1776 until 1865 legally because 1863 legally because the slaves were emancipated in 63.
But there's a lot of, I think there's more white people that died for their freedom than there was black. And then also there's still slaves in Africa. By other blacks.
That's a different story, though. That's a different story. Those guys were prisoners of war, or they were born into servitude from, in a sort of caste system or whatever.
That could have happened here.
Well, what I'm trying to say is the United States practiced racial casted slavery. When you're enslaving your own kind, it's one thing. But when you're enslaving an entire group of people and you propagate a system to keep them down because they are black and you are white, and
I agree with
the Bible justifies.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's just the United States. Well, you agree with slavery? I'm just fucking with you.
Yeah, I got you.
With you. Anyway, so the whole notion is that America originally was built as a racial, and America had its own caste system. It wasn't, it wasn't something that we really were taught in school as thoroughly as we should have been. But, you had white people who were at the top of the food chain. You had mixed people who could pass for white, but if they got found out that they were part black, then they were treated just like every other black person. And then you had black people who were seen as either complete shit or just, just above the cut of other black people, which is still pretty fucking shitty to be like, oh, well, you look like them, but you don't act like or talk like most of them. It's like, thanks, dude. I appreciate that. Like, in a very kind of offhanded way. It's like, oh, well, thank you for, not treating me like a fucking animal, I guess. But you have racism in America. It still exists because the United States didn't go far enough to stop slavery. And color was used as a weapon to make sure that racism kept being perpetuated. And you have white people that just don't fucking like black people because they think that they're dirty and they're all these other horrible
that's
things.
definitely still an issue. There's a couple people I met in the military that didn't even know, like they'd never met a black person in their life. They're from like the West, right? Like I'm talking like states like Wyoming, Wisconsin.
Who's ever heard of a brother in Wyoming? That's what I want to say.
Well, and to the point, right? They've never even met them, but they've heard stories and they've seen news articles, and so they obviously develop their own opinion. It's not always a correct opinion to go on, and so they come into the military and they get that corrected, thankfully. But not everybody else gets to participate in that. You know what I'm saying? So there's definitely merit to that statement of just saying like there's some people that just don't like blacks. It's like they don't even know that they don't like they just think they don't like blacks because they don't, or African Americans or whatever ethnicity that they want to that they're participating from, right? My point is just that they automatically just have a natural dislike towards them due to the way that their upbringing was, and it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Because I've seen people get that corrected multiple times. I mean, there's literally a joking, like a funny Instagram. It's only funny because of how fucked up it is. But they're sitting there and they're talking. It's like this drill sergeant's just making these dudes do push-ups, and he's like, "Okay, so what did we say?" And he's like, every time he goes up, he has to say "people now." Every time he goes down, he says "there." And so he's completing the sentence of "they're people now" every single time. And so the drill sergeant just keeps asking, what are African Americans? He's like, they're people now. And it sounds funny to have to like put a grown man through that, but it's like these people likely they'd never met a black person, so they don't even know what they're saying is racist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that.
It's a real thing. It's not as common.
Always been people.
It's sure. Sure.
Yeah.
I agree. But what I'm saying though is like this is just like one small group of them, though. I definitely think most people that are racist, like legitimately racist towards African Americans, Haitians, Dominicans, Jamaicans, they legitimately just don't want to even get to know their culture. They don't like it at all. I think there's good and bad in every culture. There's the whole with whites. There's the whole fucking psychopath and fucking child predator bullshit with pastors and whatnot in the white Christian society. In the Islamic faith, they have something similar. In the Asian culture, they have something similar with because they had like
there's pedophiles. There's pedophiles everywhere.
Everywhere. There's just bad. There's just ignorant people in every culture. Is the main.
Yeah, there really is, and ignorance education is key to fighting ignorance, and a lot of cultures. I'm just going to say it. There are some cultures that really are better than others, but that was because some cultures were just left worse off than others. Like, look at the Taliban. Their culture has effectively submitted half the human race into, submission or just flat out slavery by not letting them get an education. And women are expected to not be educated. They're expected to just stay at home and take care of the kids. But I'm willing to bet that someone realized, wait a minute, if she can't write and she can't read and she has to stay home and take care of the kids all day and they can't have a job and I'm the one that has to support her, then I can do whatever I want with her and the bitch got to do whatever I say. And it's very, patriarchy can be very like, very, what's the term? Insidious because,
anywhere that there's not checks and balances, this happens, right?
Right. And, like Hawaiian culture, very matriarchal. You have, a lot of other cultures in the world that are very matriarchal because they realize that women are better at being leaders of the household and women are better at being leaders of the community. And you have, Greek culture is very patriarchal, but I have very strong women in my family, and I'm very, proud of that, because the saying in Greek culture is that even though Greek culture is very patriarchal, very misogynistic, very, it can be very, put down towards women. In Greek culture, the man is the head of the house, but the woman is the neck, and the neck turns the head wherever, to face wherever she wants. And
whites join frats. Hold on. We actually got our first comment ever. This is awesome. So it's best black mailer. Best black mailer. Wow, what a name. I'm retarded. Whites join frats, blacks join gangs. I don't think frat clubs are equivalent to gangs, just to be clear. I think that whites also join gangs. They're called, they were primarily called clubs. Yeah. So whites join frats, blacks join gangs, but it's mainly because lots of them grow up with no fathers. I have many black friends, and they are awesome, but there's lots of them that aren't good. Like I said, that's every race. Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that statement. I don't see anything wrong with that.
There's a reason why a lot of black people would...
Just ignorant people in every culture.
Well, I would say that, there's a reason why the Crips and the Bloods formed. Like, the reason why black people had gangs back then.
It was good initially.
They were barred from joining all the other white people clubs. Yep. I saw in a documentary of the Crips and Bloods that black people were excluded from joining their own, groups and organizations. So they would end up forming their own organizations, and eventually, not saying that, the Crips and the Bloods were the direct reason for this, but it was a...
Thank you for that.
It was a descended reason. It was a descended reason of that. And I just don't agree with the statement that blacks join gangs and whites join, fraternities. They have black fraternities too. You have black people that join fraternities that have a much... I've met... I just don't... I don't agree with that comment.
I've met more black... he corrected that. He wasn't trying to say that that's specific. He was just using that as kind of a sentiment. It's on my... Yeah, he's commenting on my stream.
Could you read that one more time?
So he said whites join frats and blacks join gangs, but it's mainly because lots of them grow up with no fathers. I have many black friends, and they're awesome, but there's lots of them that aren't good. Like I said, that's every race. And they said, to me, when I said that whites joining frats isn't really a good comparison because they also join gangs. It's just their gangs. They're usually clubs. He said I never said they were. So I don't think he was intentionally trying to say that that's a specific thing. He's just making a statement. I could be wrong. I have no idea. I'm not this guy. It is weird. It is a little bit weird.
Yeah, this
whites have gangs for sure. They have mafias. Mafias didn't do good things. I don't think any. We have biker clubs in the white community. Definitely not good. I don't think
gangs too.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think that whites are any better. Realistically, when it comes to making good decisions for a community, I'm just saying realistically, there's ignorant people in each side. That's really what I was trying to say.
But we can agree that Scientologists are just mostly ignorant all around.
I've never met a Scientologist. Way more common for a white person. I'm saying it is way more common for a white person to join a gang. Oh my god, why did I say person? Person. I'm having a hard time reading. It's way more common for a white person to join a gang since they grow up in better situations, while black people are more common to join gangs since they aren't in that situation most of the time. And then he replaced gang for the white person with frat. I think that was the thing a long time ago. I think it's just more common for a white person to participate in a frat club because there's more whites in America. At this point in time, I grew up around a lot of black people, a lot of African American descent, a lot of Jamaican descent, Islamic descent. I feel like we have a lot of those where I'm from. And a lot of them had more things than I did growing up. I'm just going to say it. And that might not be the national average, but that's just what it was for where I was at. So my particular experience was a little different than maybe what the national is. I feel like my parents were extremely poor until I was about in high school. When I finally got to high school, they had finally gotten their fucking shit together. They could raise me. And then not having a father in their life. I mean, I know plenty of white friends. I say a lot of white friends without a father in their life, and they were pieces of shit. Almost all of them. I think that just not having a father in your life ruins your setup, right? I don't know if everybody agrees with that, but I think there's definitely statistics to prove it. And then on top of that,
two parents in your life can fuck you up.
Two parents, definitely. I agree. I 100% agree. But really, I think the father has a much higher effect on a child after the age of 13 than a mother does. And I could be wrong. I'm sure there's a study for it. It's probably multiple studies, but I'm pretty positive. And like in my experience, people that didn't have a father actively participating in their life when they were like 16, 15, they had a much worse off experience. And a lot of them are already dead around my age right now, how old I am. I know quite a few of my white friends that are dead because they didn't have a father actively participating in their life. And they had a mother. Definitely having both parents. A lot of those kids did better off in general. I don't know if I can make this jump. And then, I'm kind of trailing a little bit here. What am I thinking? Oh, I also didn't have my biological father in my life. My biological father was Hispanic from El Salvador, and he was deported for doing coke with a bunch of strippers. So I don't really have a great opinion of my own culture, honestly.
How dare they? How dare they? How dare they deport an American for doing one of the most American things ever?
Yeah, no, I'm happy he got deported personally. I think he deserved it. He also beat my mother. He's a piece of shit. I think people like him deserve to get deported and deserve to get the fuck out of here. I mean, fortunately, I was born for my extent, but honestly, if my mother wouldn't have had to go through that, I would accept not being born. I think just
I have to.
The things I've heard that he's done. I mean, if I ever have to meet him in person, and I would never choose to, but if I ever had to, I mean, even at his ripe old age now, I'd still probably beat him. I just couldn't. I can never forgive somebody for the types of things that he participated in.
Well, yeah, he hurt your mom, dude. And I have to say, your mom is a nice lady. I still remember that time where we were all at that party together, and you wanted to stay after, and I basically turned on the speech 100, and I convinced your mom to let you stay, and she thought I was the police at first. That's how.
You always have the glasses and the hat, man.
Huh?
It's the glasses and the hat. They really do you service there.
The glasses and the hat. Is that a saying or?
No, you almost always wear like a pretty nice pair of shades and a nice hat.
Oh! I thought you meant like spectacles. No. You could say, yeah, I appreciate that.
No, you do. So I mean, you definitely look a little older than most of the people that were around our age at that time. You just didn't fit the. You definitely didn't fit the social norm.
No, I did not. Yeah, I was just posting like cultural references that nobody ever got, and they're like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?"
I'll be honest. At the time, I have to research what you're actually talking about. You primarily talk about things from your. I mean, you're not born there, but you definitely have an allegiance to it to some degree. So you definitely post. Is it right to call it your? What do you call that country to you? Because it's not your straight up nationality, but you definitely seem to appreciate Greece very much. What would you consider it?
America is my motherland because it's literally where my mom came from, even though my mom is a child of Greek immigrants. Greece is my fatherland because technically that's where my father came from. And ironically, we do call the Greek homeland the fatherland, the patrida, because, Greece is my fatherland, America is my motherland, and America raised me, America educated me, and I never will ever forget the fact where I was born and raised. I was raised in this new Roman Empire, or Carthage, as some might say. America's more like Carthage in many ways. But my loyalty will always also be, I can have loyalty to two countries, just like a child can have loyalty to two parents. I can have loyalty to not just America, but Greece. But if America was invaded by Greece, if America just turned fucking like the Fire Nation and invaded Greece, fuck it. My loyalty's to Greece at that point, because Greece is a tiny nation with a culture that has to be preserved and protected. But there's no need to do something like that because Greek culture is beloved by the United States. Greek culture has always been exalted. And
I almost
lauded.
guarantee that if Greece was participating in atrocities, you wouldn't side with Greece as well. It sounds like you would just side whatever side makes the most logical sense when it comes to no father in a son's life causes them to not have that person to set you straight, give you advice for life. No fathers for girls causes girls not to respect men. I can agree with that. You want me to say it again?
I do have to go in a minute. It's just I have to go in a minute. I just really do want to say I appreciate this whole conversation. It's just I
want to butt in and say, "What up, Costa?"
Boomstiv, are you?
Levi.
Wait. Oh, Levi. Oh shit. Hey.
We're on stream. Don't use last names. That's all I ask.
Yeah.
Hey, Layer. What was his last name?
Don't.
No. Shit. I thought you said use last names. I'm
don't.
Oh fuck. Okay. I know his last name is not that. It's not that. I thought it was, but it's not. So
all right. Whatever. We're already here. Yeah. Yeah. He's in here like every day. He plays Overwatch with us.
Hell yeah. In like 3 minutes though, I do want to get going.
You live your life.
I just have to say, like, yeah, Greece to me is like, it's the bastion of culture that I came from, and if it was committing atrocities, I couldn't support it. I wouldn't support the government. The people I would still love, but if it's the people that are committing the atrocities, it's like, I don't know, man, y'all are being cringe, but I can't see the Greek people.
Well, and you're saying that wouldn't be a normal participation. So I mean, I respect that sentiment. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
But it sounds like you would do the rational thing and go with whatever side was doing the right thing, and you would not go with the side just because that's your original country. Like if the U.S. starts a fucking World War III right now, and decides that they want to invade a helpless country that is not really doing anything that is against the United States. Like, if it's completely fucked up what's going on, like it's straight up, we just started genociding somebody, legitimately, and we were the ones blowing them up regularly. We were the ones sending people over, and I had to go over there. That would be a very tough decision I would have to make. I won't act like I have the right answer, or the wrong answer. I'm just saying that would be a very tough decision as somebody in the military to make that decision. Obviously, as somebody in the Army, I'm like a rabid dog. I want to go to war. I want to kill people because that's why I'm here, is to defend the country, and that's what I'm trained to do, is to get people. But unfortunately, that's not what I think's best for every single scenario. So if I had to go do something reckless or ridiculous, I would definitely have my own opinions against it, and I would have to decide what I want to do with my life at that point. Because obviously, if you don't do what the Army says, you get subject to treason, and you're just arrested. You're just fucked. You know, there's not really a whole lot you can do about that at that point. So try to sit with that. But I'm glad that you also would choose to just do whatever the right thing is and not just side with somebody just because of their nationality or ethnicity.
I am not going to pull a Robert E. Lee just because Virginia is on the side that, you know. Here's the funny thing about Robert E. Lee is that he would have been celebrated as one of the greatest American heroes if he had just sided with the United States, because he hated slavery and he hated the idea of seceding, but he still showed loyalty to Virginia, which was one of the dumbest things he could have ever done, because the United States would have immediately liberated Virginia, and there would have been a bunch of abolitionists in Virginia that would have came out of the woodwork. And the dude hated slavery. He wasn't really that far away from being, like, you know, he wasn't that far away from just straight up siding with the Union. But he's like, nah, fuck it, I can't do this. And he resigned from the American Army. And effectively, dude, they defected. Like, I don't get why the Americans don't treat the Confederates as defectors. That's what they were. These guys swore an oath to the United States, and they essentially left their country to go join another country. And
I definitely agree with
they
that.
abandoned their oaths.
I definitely agree with that. I've had quite a few arguments and debates about the Confederates, but I can't agree 100% that they didn't really have good faith behind what they were doing, and that they were 100% committing treason when they did what they did. Because the agreement was that we would have one national government with a bunch of local governments, and they really didn't like when the national government came to a conclusion or consensus that you can't have slaves. I mean, that's just ultimately what it was. And when they said no, we had to go correct them. I mean, that's really what you want to look at it in any other perspective. I think it's wrong. If you sum it up, that's really what it was. Federal government said do this. They said we don't want to because we make money this way. And then the federal government was like, all right, well, I'm going to come whoop your ass real quick, and you're still going to do what I told you to do. And that's exactly what happened. Did it work perfectly? Did everything go exactly how maybe everybody thought it would? No, I don't think it was a perfect setup at all. And it still rings in through today, where some people are still alive from when there was a separation of segregation instead of it's like separate but not equal or whatever. I can't remember what the statement is right now off the top of my head.
Separate but equal.
Yeah. Well, and they weren't right, but yeah, I don't mean to drag that out. I agree with you.
Right.
Is my main point. I just wanted to say that myself as well.
The Confederacy sucked, and we should change the incest. We should not change the incest. We should change the Confederate battle flag into the incest pride flag. That's all I'm going to say. But I got to get going now. It was really nice talking to you, man. Appreciate
later,
you.
buddy. Yeah.
Talk to you later, man.
Later.
See you, Leaves.
Levi, are you on Overwatch? Levi still in here?
Oh shit. Damn it, I was muted. I said bye, Costa. And yeah, I said I'm on Overwatch.
I'll hop over as soon as I die then. Playing some Peak right now. I really wish you could play this with us.
Yeah, I looked as soon as you told me about it before I even. By the way, that was me the other day, Budweiser.
Oh, you're Budweiser. Okay.
I should have knew.
I thought it might be, but I wasn't trying to assume because I just had somebody hop in here, and I've never heard that guy before or met that guy before, so I don't assume I know everybody that hops in my stream.
Yeah, I just fuck. I think that's my other Twitch account, but I don't fucking know. I think I've had two. I don't remember.
I'm happy you hopped in, man.
It just doesn't seem like something I'd play, but I checked to see if it was cross-compatible as soon as you told me about it.
Tell you, it's pretty great, dude. It's pretty great. Unfortunately, I don't think you'll be able to play it just because it's not on your platform. You know what I'm saying?
Charlie Kirk situation seems pretty crazy.
Definitely is. I mean, to me, it felt no different than the Trump thing. It's just another L for fucking anybody who's liberal because they just have to sit there and live with the fact that they're being that level of extreme. I would like to see if there's any other cases of conservatives doing that recently in the last 5-6 years. It's definitely unfortunate, though. I mean, the one thing that I'll argue about is it doesn't matter if you agree with him or disagree with his ideologies. The one thing he was consistently doing was just using his free speech as a tool, rather than just trying to commit violence on people.
No matter what he was saying, it was so
Oh, this is not good.
Killed.
I think I just died. Holy shit. If I don't die right now, this is gonna be crazy.
How much time do I got?
If my character stands up before I die, I have to complete this somehow. Like, I don't even think I have meds. I do have a potion though. I think. Oh, I think we're dead. Yep. How you doing, AR? You been any games? Not talking to AR. He's been in here this whole time, just silent. All right, I'm about to hop in Overwatch, buddy, and I'm bringing a